All right, I will call this Tigard City Council and Town Center Development Agency meeting to order. Deputy Recorder Raimundo, please call roll.
Councilor Newton.
Here.
Council President Lube.
Here.
Councilor Shaw.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Here.
Youth Councilor Nog. Here. And Councilor Goodhouse.
Here. All right, we'll ask everyone to join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Councilor, staff, any non-agenda items?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to announce to the public that our agreement with Lake Oswego, Tigard, our water agreement was just adopted by the city of Lake Oswego. So that's done.
Very exciting. Thank you. Any other
Nothing from us, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thanks.
That is a monumental moment that we've been waiting
Years.
for the better part of 6 years on, so that's awesome news. Thank you, Councilor Newton. Let's see, proclamations and recognitions. I don't think we have any scheduled for tonight. We'll move on to public comment. The public comment phone-in line is 503-966-4101. Please call now to be placed in the queue. For those that would like to provide video public comment via Microsoft Teams, please virtually raise your hand and our IT team will place you in the queue. For those wishing to testify by phone or video during the public hearing, please wait and call in at the beginning of agenda item number 5. And with that, we'll go to follow up to previous public comment. Assistant City Manager Nyland, you are online, I believe? Hold on, you are muted, though it doesn't look. Hold on, Assistant City Manager Nyland, in the room, I don't think you're actually muted, but we have no audio in the room of you right now. Hold on just a moment. Sorry. Still no audio.
Can you hear us now, Mr. Mayor?
We can hear you now. Yes, Mike?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can, and it's loud and clear. Go ahead.
So as I said, we did not receive any public comments at the November 22nd council meeting, which allows me an extra minute or two for our fun fact. And tonight's fun fact was brought to you by City Manager Reimer. So though we did not have any official proclamations, did you know it's National Hand Washing Awareness Week? Yes, that's true. National Hand Washing Awareness Week kicked off on December 4th and continues through December 10th. The week, which helps promote proper hand hygiene through education, was established by Dr. William Sawyer, a hand hygiene expert and the founder of the Henry the Hand Foundation. Sawyer's Foundation was created in response to the 1999 flu vaccine shortage in Cincinnati, with the goal of keeping the community safe through good hygiene practices. I'm flagging this because we are in the midst of a really horrible flu season. We're also hearing about an increase in cases around the respiratory virus, and let's not forget, we're still in the midst of COVID. So, continue to practice good behaviors. Sneeze in your elbow if possible, cover your mouth when you cough, and wash your hands. 20 seconds for a thorough scrubbing. Cheers to happy National Hand Washing Awareness Week. Let's be aware this week and every week. That is my report for this evening.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Nyland. And we will move on to written public comment. Deputy Recorder Raimundo, I don't believe I saw any written public comment.
There was no
Correct?
written public comment.
Okay. Is there anyone that signed up in person? No? City Recorder Krager? Okay. Let's see. Mr. Nolip, are there any phone-in public comments?
Mr. Mayor, we do not have any phone-in public comments or testimony.
You said we have none? Sorry.
We have none, correct.
Okay.
For both.
I just couldn't quite hear that one word, but gotcha. Okay. No video, no phone in. We'll move on to the item number 4 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Consent agenda is used for routine items, including minutes and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. These items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Council members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Tonight, there's only one item on the consent agenda, and that is a 3-year extension of the broadband user group bug intergovernmental agreement. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is adopted unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item number 5, which is a legislative public hearing on psilocybin center standards. And I will open the public hearing. Anyone that wishes to testify may do so via phone or in person. If you're going to testify by phone, you would do that by getting in the queue and calling in now at 503-966-4101. And with that, Senior Planner Warren, staff report.
Good evening, Mayor Snyder and members of the City Council. My name is Skylar Warren, Senior Planner in the Department of Community Development. So this item before you tonight is a little odd because it is a legislative public hearing with no recommended legislative amendments. The reason for this is that this hearing was originally scheduled and noticed prior to the conclusion of state rulemaking on psilocybin facilities. Since that time, the final rules have been published, and after a detailed review, our team determined that additional local regulations are not necessary. So there are 3 reasons we are not recommending any additional local regulations. First, the state rules already provide specific locational standards. These facilities are prohibited within 1,000 feet of a primary or secondary school and in all residential zones. Second, the licensing process requires that the state must confirm that these standards are met. The city has provided an opportunity to check the state's work through the land use compatibility statement process, where an applicant must obtain a signed statement from the city that the facility is an allowed use in the zone where it is proposed. This is a commonly used practice by state agencies, and we regularly review a variety of these land use compatibility statements. Third, these facilities are essentially medical therapy office type uses where patients are seen in a controlled therapeutic setting. There are no retail sales allowed, and those administering the therapy must be trained and licensed by the state. By unanimous vote, the Planning Commission chose to recommend that the City Council not adopt any new regulations. And for this reason, we are not making a formal presentation of any proposed code amendments. Instead, for procedural reasons, we've asked the Council to open the hearing, receive this report, and then close the hearing without further action. If Council decides tonight that you would prefer to consider adoption of text amendments to the Tigard Community Development Code, you would need to continue this hearing to the next week. Staff would then provide draft code amendments, and at that time, if the Council elected to adopt the amendments, the ordinance would need to include an emergency clause for them to take effect prior to the date when state licensing will begin on January 2nd of 2023. So that concludes my presentation of this non-legislative legislative hearing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Warren. As far as public testimony, I don't think we had any written public testimony, correct?
Correct.
All right, Mr. Nolip, is there anyone in the phone queue or online queue wishing to testify?
No one in the queue, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Council have any questions of staff?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah, Councilor Newton.
Mr. Warren, so I assume just like any other medical business, they would be required to have a business license?
That's correct.
Yeah, so it'd
Yes.
just be treated like any other medical facility?
It would be
for
treated like.
those purposes?
Correct.
Correct.
Probably the better analogy would be a therapist's office,
Oh, okay.
a licensed clinical social worker, or something like that. But both the facility and the provider would have to have a license from the state as well,
Right.
in addition to the business license.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, then I'm going to close the public hearing. And we can have hopefully a brief discussion. Is there any concern with the recommended staff approach here? Okay. So thank you, Mr. Warren, for the thorough report. And I know you guys did a lot of work to get to the point of concluding we didn't need, I don't want to minimize that. So I know a lot of work was done in preparation and not knowing what the state was going to do. And so I want to recognize that and thank you for that. And luckily, we don't need to enact any further ordinances. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is to appoint budget committee members. I see lots of members, I think, that are being appointed to different committees tonight. I would like an opportunity to hand you a City of Tigard pin and congratulate you if you're being appointed or reappointed to a committee, if you're okay with that. We're going to go through each appointment to each committee, and then I will hand out pins over there if you'll join me, and we'll do that after each appointment process. If you're at home or online and participating, we will make note of that and get you a pin as well. And with that, I think we have Finance Director Trimp. Good to see you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Snyder and council members. Cindy Trimp, Finance Director. Council President Lube and I conducted budget committee member interviews just a few months ago, and we have a couple of folks that we'd like to bring forward for your consideration. The first person is Jake Schlack, and he is currently employed as a business analyst, and he analyzes complex data, and we look forward to him analyzing our budget. So, and we're ready to work with him again. He worked with us last year, and so it's another year with us. He came back. And then we have a one-year appointment of Kelly Piment. She is in her 3rd year of law school, and she is ready to serve. Her overall enthusiasm and love and passion for the city of Tigard was apparent, and so we're excited to have her be a part of the budget because budget is exciting to us, so we're ready for that. We anticipate lots of questions from these new budget committee members, and we welcome the questions from these budget city members. So we're ready to start the next.
Her
budget
enthusiasm was demonstrated in her hand waving there a moment ago, so.
I promise you, it was very evident in the interview.
cycle. Yes,
Yeah?
it really was. It
Yeah.
really was.
All right, well, I guess we need a motion before I ask Youth Counselor Nog if she has an advisory vote. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 22-34.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 22-34, a resolution appointing Jake Schlack to a voting position and appointing Kelly Piment as the alternate position on the Budget Committee.
Youth Counselor Nog, advisory vote?
Yes.
All right, and all members of the council in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolution 22-34 is Adopted unanimously, and if the two of you would come up, I would love to give you a City of Tigard pin. All right. Thank you both for coming tonight. And we'll move on to appointment to the Audit Committee. That's item number 7 on the agenda, and I think we have Assistant Finance Director Kang present. Good to see you. This might be my first time meeting you in person, I think, maybe. Could be wrong. You got to push to get the green. There you go.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Snyder and members of the council. My name is Eric Kang, Assistant Finance Director. Tonight we are asking for a resolution to appoint members to the city's audit committee that is responsible for oversight of the city's annual financial statement audit and the periodic performance audits. Council President Lube and Finance Director Trimp and myself conducted interviews for the audit committee, and it's the recommendation to appoint Fiona Howell-Earl, who is a current member of the audit committee, Nikki Walker, who's present here today, who's also a current non-voting member, to a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2024. Additionally, the committee is recommending the appointment of Joy Lee, who's also present here today, as an alternate non-voting member for a 1-year term ending December 31st, 2023.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I just want to say we're equally as excited about these individuals to serve too.
We are very excited.
With that, I move to approve resolution number 22-35.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 22-35, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Tigard, Oregon, appointing Fiona Howell-Earl and Nikki Walker as voting members to the Audit Committee, and appointing Joy Lee as an alternate non-voting member of the Audit Committee.
And Youth Councilor Noggin, advisory vote?
Yes.
All right, all members of the council in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, resolution 22-35 is adopted unanimously. And again, I would love to give you a pin. You'll join me up here. All right, and we will move on to appointment to the Tigard Library Board. We've got Library Director Bernard. Good to see you. You may want to switch out your name tag. We're a couple name tags behind there.
We're behind here.
Unless you want to be
I'll be
Director Trim.
everybody. You know me. Good evening, Mayor Snyder, council members, city teammates, and Tigard community. My name is Halstead Bernard. I use she, her pronouns, and it is my pleasure to be the Director of Library Services for the City of Tigard. I'm honored to be with you all tonight to recommend 2 outstanding community members for appointment to the Tigard Public Library Board. Recently, one of the voting members of our board resigned mid-term. Our board liaison, Council President Lube, recommended one of our 2 alternate members, Helen Allen, for appointment to the vacant position. We opened a recruitment for a new alternate member and received 4 applications. Interviews of the applicants were conducted on November 21st by the Mayor's Appointment Advisory Committee, comprised of Council President Lube and myself. We were impressed with how our recommended alternate appointee, Bart Hawkins, related his commitment to the library's vision of becoming a community hub for knowledge and enrichment where everyone feels welcome. Bart is a newer resident of Tigard and a high school principal, and he will bring his perspective of an educator, a parent, an avid reader, and a lifelong learner to his board service. So the recommendations of this advisory committee are now before the council for approval by resolution. We recommend Helen Allen for appointment as a voting member serving the remainder of the vacated term, effective January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024, and Bart Hawkins for appointment as an alternate who would serve a 2-year term effective January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. Biographies of our recommended appointees have been provided in tonight's packets, and our recommended appointees have been invited to attend tonight's session. I believe they are here with us virtually, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for your consideration.
Will you make sure they get a pin in the mail?
I absolutely will.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 22-36.
I'll second the motion.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 22-36, a resolution appointing alternate board member Helen Allen to complete a vacated term as a voting member of the Tigard Library Board and appointing Bart Hawkins as an alternate for a term of 2 years.
Youth Councilor Nog, advisory vote?
Yes.
All right. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, resolution 22-36 is adopted unanimously, and I just want to confirm none of them are present in person, correct? All right, why don't we have anyone that's just been appointed to the library board that is online just briefly come on camera if you wouldn't mind, say hi. Well, thank you if you're there. Oh, there's the principal.
Yes,
how you
thank
doing,
you,
sir?
Doing great.
Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for your service to the city, and appreciate you stepping up. So, Director Bernard, do you think the other member is online? Okay. Oh, there she is. Hi. Helen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me. I'm delighted to serve.
And we will make sure we get you a pin, and maybe someday I'll shake your hand too, just to complete it out there. Thanks again. All right. Thank you. And we'll move on to item number 9 on the agenda, which is to appoint Tigard Transportation Advisory Committee members. Senior Planner Roth, good to see you.
Good evening, Mayor Snyder and Tigard City Council. I'm Dave Roth, Senior Transportation Planner. I'm here tonight seeking a resolution to appoint members of the Tigard Transportation Advisory Committee. There were 4 voting positions and 2 alternate positions with terms that expire on December 31st, 2022 open. 1 voting position was open due to a resignation earlier this year. And then 1 is open because one of our committee members is terming out. And I just want to acknowledge that she's here tonight in the virtual audience, Lindsay Wise, who served on the committee since 2017 and provided a lot of great service to the city over that time period. 2 incumbent members expressed an interest in being reappointed and were not interviewed. The interview panel, consisting of Councilor Goodhouse, TTAC Chair Ruth Harshfield, and myself, interviewed candidates on November 14th. So we interviewed 4 candidates. The interview panel recommends the following candidates for appointment. So Alan Eckert and Richard Keast, both reappointed for another 3-year term. And then new members, we've got Laura Crawford as a voting member for a 3-year term, who's here tonight in the audience. Derek Lawson for a voting member for a 3-year term, who's joining us virtually. And then Jane Honeyman, an alternate non-voting member, again joining us virtually for a 3-year term. And then Jim Schiffer, an alternate member for a 3-year term, and he is in the audience tonight.
Awesome, thank you. And you've got some, do you have any appointees that are virtual tonight?
So we've got, I think I saw Alan Eckert.
Okay.
And so Alan, Derek, and Jane are with us virtually, it looks like.
All right, I will just ask that you make sure you get them their City of Tigard pins in the mail.
Yep.
And we will, yes?
I don't know if it's going to be a document for the document for the record, but in the attachment with the bios, it actually said on December 14, 2021.
Oh, the interviews?
You know, it says the Tigard City Council will consider, resolution. So we just might want to correct that date.
Yes, we should correct that. Thank you.
Yeah, we actually
You're
do
welcome.
need to correct that if that's
Yeah.
that's in the written resolution.
Well, it's in the attachment with the bios, so I assume it
Oh,
would be
with the
attached to the
bios.
resolution, but just
Okay.
to, just so we don't confuse
Thank
future
you. That
individuals.
should be December 6th, 22. Yes, thank you.
All right. City Recorder Raimundo, is that, I guess without the city attorney here, I don't know who to ask that. Do we need to correct that now, or does that need to be in the motion or not?
I believe the resolution itself is okay.
The resolution's fine, it was just the attachment with the bios.
Yeah, no, I understand
Yeah.
that. I just want to make sure
I'm not
we
sure if-
get it done correctly.
Okay, yeah, because I can have it corrected on my end, but City Attorney Rahala, if you want to chime
Oh,
in
we
on
do have the
this.
city attorney virtually. Excellent.
Good evening, Council. Yes, virtually tonight. As long as the resolution is correct, that's really the only documentation that matters.
Okay. All right. With that said, is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 22-37.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 22-37, a resolution reappointing Alan Eckert and Richard Keast and appointing Laura Crawford and Derek Lawson as voting members and appointing Jane Honeyman and Jim Schiffer as alternate members of the Tigard Transportation Advisory Committee.
All right. Youth Councilor Nog, advisory vote.
Yes.
And all members of the council in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolution 22-37's adopted unanimously. And let's do pins for those in person first. All right, and then those online, if you wouldn't mind just quickly popping your camera on and waving, saying hi, introduce yourself briefly.
Hi, I'm Jane
Hi.
Honeyman.
Hi, Jane.
Hi,
Thank you for volunteering. We'll make sure we get you a pin.
thank you. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. And do we have another online? Derek? Okay. Hi, Derek.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for volunteering. We'll make sure we get you the pin. Anyone else online? Okay. All right. And with that, I think we'll transition to item number 10 on the agenda, which is a Tigard Transportation Advisory Committee annual report. And Mr. Roth, you're presenting? Is that correct? All right.
And Chair Harshfield will be joining me. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, good evening, Mayor Snyder and City Council. I'm Dave Roth, Senior Transportation Planner.
And I'm Ruth Harshfield, a TTAC Chairperson.
All right, so we're here tonight for our annual joint meeting with Tigard City Council. I'd also like to recognize that we have several new and returning TTAC members tonight with us. And we do have a presentation. Jesse, can you run that?
Mike, can you pull that up real quick, please?
I sure can. Give me 1 second.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and get started while he's getting the presentation loaded. So tonight we'll provide an overview of the committee, our 2022 year in review, and then a look forward to 2023 before leaving some time for discussion and Q&A between council and TTAC members present tonight. Next slide, please. And next slide. So TTAC is the council-appointed committee serving in an advisory role to staff and council on a broad range of relevant transportation issues reflecting city priorities. It's one of Tigard's 12 boards and committees. We have 11 voting members and 2 non-voting members. We meet regularly on the first Wednesday of each month. And I'll note for the past 3 years, we've been meeting virtually, almost 3 years now, and we're really excited to start meeting in person. We'll have a hybrid option starting in January, so I'm really excited to announce that tonight. The committee accepts public comment and input. We often have folks from the public joining us and sharing their transportation concerns with the committee. The committee advises staff on Complete Streets policy implementation, capital project and program development, transportation system plan implementation, and again, transportation safety issues or concerns. Next slide. I'm going to hand it over to Ruth, who will give us the 22 year in a review.
All right, we had a busy year in 2022. The 2040 Transportation Safety Plan was adopted. Several TTAC members participated in the Community Action Committee for the 2040 TSP development. TTAC members provided public testimony in support of the plan during the legislative public hearing process. And already during 2022, TTAC has supported implementation of several of the project initiatives that are included, including Greenberg Road, the Southwest 95 Avenue Bike Ped Bike Bridge, and the rail undercrossing projects. Moving for May, TTAC members provided volunteer support for many of the Move for May activities, such as the e-bike demonstration days, walk and roll to school, which was the largest student turnout ever, so that was a big plus. Bike rodeos, and we also hosted the Transportation and Public Health panel discussion. TTAC, the Hall Boulevard corridor, I know you're well aware of that issue. There was a visioning process. TTAC provided ongoing support and guidance on the city's effort to secure funding to improve Hall Boulevard and ultimately to take over control of the road from ODOT. I provided public comment at the Hall Boulevard walking tour shortly after the fatal crash claimed the life of a pedestrian trying to cross that road. So we were active in that issue. Next slide. The TTAC provided input and support for the 20-mile-per-hour neighborhood speed initiative that rolled out in the fall, this last fall. Initiative is a significant move toward a safer transportation system for all, lowering the speeds in our neighborhoods. TTAC members also, with capital projects and programs, we provide input to city staff on several of the capital projects, including Murdoch Street and Locust Street projects. And for transportation grants and development, we've provided letters of support for several important transportation funding grant requests. Safe Streets for All, the Fano Creek Trail Crossing, Southwest 95th Ped Bike Bridge, and rail undercrossings, and more. Next slide. During the month of June, TTAC members participated in a project tour to review recently completed and upcoming transportation projects. Some of the members rode their bikes on the tour, while others of us carpooled. And we found that was a good connection for things that we've been hearing about and supporting to actually see them in fruition or beginning. TriMet Forward Together, we reviewed in detail the TriMet Forward Together service proposal and provided a letter with specific feedback and requests for changes. That was a very active meeting. People had a lot of comments.
I specifically recall using your comments to then drive TriMet and others in a meeting where I got to reference your work, so I appreciated that.
Good, I'm glad it gave been helpful. And finally, TTAC participated in the decision-making process for implementation of the new climate-friendly and equitable communities rulemaking, encouraging the city to comply with eliminating parking requirements citywide. I know that the committee members are very interested in helping move Tigard toward a more climate-friendly and equitable community. I'll turn it back over to Dave.
So next slide. So looking forward to 2023. In addition to TTAC's normal month-to-month activities, there are some key transportation topics of interest to the committee I'd like to highlight for the upcoming year. Given our involvement in the development of the 2040 Transportation System Plan, we see a continued role for TTAC in supporting implementation of the plan, both in terms of seeing projects completed and in terms of ensuring policies and goals are fulfilled. Of utmost importance is transportation safety. TTAC is interested in seeing the city embark on a cross-functional commitment to safe streets in the new year. We cannot accept traffic fatalities or life-changing injuries to be a byproduct of our transportation system. Let's refocus our efforts to address transportation safety. Although potentially more abstract than safety, the climate impacts of our built environment through our transportation system and land use patterns must be addressed. TTAC was pleased to participate in the city's climate resiliency planning effort and looks forward to continuing to play a role in understanding and addressing the climate impacts of Tigard's transportation system. Lastly, the electric mobility strategy is a project TTAC has supported since the city initially applied for grant funding to support the work over a year ago now, I think. We're excited to see this project finally kick off in 2023. To fulfill Tigard's longstanding commitment to walkability, we need to prioritize investments in missing sidewalks across the city, something that TTAC has expressed a lot of interest in and hopes to pick up in 23. And finally, as we've done over the past few years, TTAC remains committed to engaging the broader community on transportation issues through the Tigard on the Move speaker series. Look for more events in 23. And with that, I'll turn it over for any discussion and Q&A that we might have.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Shaw?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you very much. It was a robust report, and I read it, so I appreciate all the hard work of TTAC. Just to reiterate with the transportation safety, including the sidewalks and crosswalks and making sure that it's more than a hope for 2023, and hopefully it's not even hopefully, we get it done. So just with that, I want to commend you for the work done and look forward to working with you in 2023.
Well, I'm sure TTAC would be supportive of, they're going to say, show us the money, right? Council President Lube, did you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is such incredibly important work, the way that we move around the city, and I completely agree. You know, individuals shouldn't have to lose their lives in order for us to pay attention to the safety of our streets. So please continue to push us in the region forward in prioritizing safety and mobility, all sorts of mobility in our streets. Thank you.
I was going to say, I attend all the meetings, so there's a lot of great work and conversation, so thank you to all the members that put all the hard work in, and Dave for all your work.
Councillor Newton.
Yeah, just an incredible amount of work that group does every year. It's really important work, and just the depth that you go to. On the Safe Streets commitment, I think it would be great if the TTAC could get involved in how we prioritize the investments we make for safe streets. That can be sidewalks or crossings or a number of different things. So the TTAC weighing in on policies about how those decisions get made and how those priorities are made. I think with the background of all those members and just the research and work you do, I think that would be important to get involved in the priority setting, because that's really important work. And I live in on one of the streets, 106 Drive. It's one of the share of the road, and I think the TTAC members are the ones that take care of making sure that those share the road walking connections are taken care of. So yeah, that's great. Make sure the signs are up. And so yeah. Anyway, appreciate that too. Thanks.
Youth Councillor Nog, anything? I just want to thank you all for the level of detailed work that you do and the, I would say, actionable feedback that's provided. That TriMet communication that I was referencing during your presentation, the fact that there's very specific, like you all took the time to be very specific and very detailed and thoughtful about what you do makes my job a lot easier when I'm trying to then advocate on our behalf, because I can literally say to TriMet, here's a problem and this is how you can fix it. And instead of, it's a lot easier to just go and complain, but when you have actual solutions, that's very helpful. So I just want to thank you for that. Any further comments or questions?
I guess the question we always ask is, what does TTAC need from the new council next year?
Well, I can't think of anything specific at this point, but I know that the members of the committee will bring those issues and items to Dave, and then Dave will bring them to you. So I think it's the continued focus of the city on walkable communities, supporting the Complete Streets process, supporting the transportation system plan. You know, the implementation of all of those things is really helpful when this council is in support as well.
Councillor Shaw?
Just also, I'm excited too about the innovation part that could be coming as well, which is electric mobility strategy and providing that as an alternative for those who may not be as able to walk. So excited about that as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item number 11 on the agenda, which is to appoint Town Center Advisory Commission members. Mr. Fairley, you are online, I believe, virtual?
I am, coming at you virtually. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Sean Fairley, Redevelopment Project Manager and the Staff Liaison to the Town Center Advisory Commission. I'm pleased tonight to present a resolution recommending 6 great candidates to be appointed to the Town Center Advisory Commission. TCAC are the dedicated volunteers who make recommendations on policy, budget, and implementation of projects for the city's 2 tax increment financing districts, the City Center TIF District and the Tiger Triangle TIF District. And interviews were conducted last month with Councilor Goodhouse, Chair of the TCAC, Tom Murphy, and myself. And we'd like to make the following recommendations. 2 returning members, Renette Heyer and Elise Shearer, are recommended for 3-year terms as voting members. We have a new member who is recommended for a 3-year voting member. Another new member, Amanda Sharp, is recommended to fill the remaining term of a member who resigned for a one-year term. Recommending Gabriel Velasquez to be an alternate member for a one-year term. And we recommend Justin Watson, returning ex officio member for a one-year term. And we have at least 3 of those appointees online, and there may be someone who's attending in person. I can't quite tell.
Okay, thank you. We'll figure that out momentarily. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 22-38.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 22-38, a resolution reappointing Renette Heyer and Elise Shearer and appointing Amanda Sharp and Robert Tomasevic as voting members, appointing Gabriel Velasquez as a non-voting alternate member, and reappointing Justin Watson as a non-voting ex officio member of the Town Center Advisory Commission.
And Youth Councilor Nog, advisory vote?
Yes.
And all members of the council in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, resolution 22-38 is adopted unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Fairley. Are there any members that were just appointed in person since Mr. Fairley can't? Okay, let's have you come on up. All right, and then online, anyone, we'd appreciate it if everybody just turned their camera on briefly, said hi, so we can thank you. Let's see,
Hi there.
Is that Gabriel? Thank you for joining, and then Mandy as well. Thank you. Anyone else online in the room? I'm having a little trouble seeing all the cameras, so is there anyone else online?
Elise is.
Oh, Elise is on?
Elise Shearer says hi.
Hi, Elise. Thank you. And Mr. Fairley, will you make sure that all the virtual folks get their pins from me in the mail?
I will.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all again for volunteering your precious time to make our city better. We really appreciate it. And with that, we will move on to item number 12, which we'll be convening as the Town Center Development Agency for the next item. Item number 12, Town Center Advisory Commission, TCAC Equitable Business Work Group recommendations. Mr. Fairley?
Thanks. I'm Sean Farley, Redevelopment Project Manager again. So the bylaws of the TCAC say that they can form subcommittees and work groups, and that's what we have tonight. We have the Equitable Business Work Group that was formed earlier this year, taking on extra work, even more time from their schedules to work on supporting the growth and development of small businesses to TIF districts. And their current focus is on bringing new businesses to the downtown. So they last met with you in May, and tonight, virtually, we have 2 members, Adrian Hinckley and Carolyn Hayek, who've been very busy the past few months, and they're going to share a presentation with you, talks about their activities and making some recommendations. Turn it over to Adrian and Carolyn.
Hi there, this is Carolyn. Is our screen being shared, the presentation being shared?
Mike can bring it up. Oh, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, great. What I wanted to take you through tonight real quickly is the results of our research that we did, which was a participatory workshop where we gathered participants together to talk to them about what they wanted in the downtown eating and drinking establishments. So if you can go on to the next slide. So a little bit about the workshop statistics. We ran it on August 1st. We had 28 participants, which was made up of residents that both frequented in the downtown and infrequently came to the downtown. We also had 4 of the TCAC committee members who were running the meeting, and we had 7 observers, and they ranged from folks from the Tigard Downtown Alliance to city staff to Tigard Chamber of Commerce, and Councilor Goodhouse was there helping us out and observing. And just kind of a summary note in general, due to the fact that we're really talking about the fact that we only gathered 28 comments from data from 28 participants. This is qualitative in nature. It's not quantitative. It's not meant to be quantitative. So the data gives us a direction to pursue, and that's really important for us to remember as we go through the findings. So if you can go through the next slide. So the first question we asked is, what is important to you in a downtown eating and drinking establishment? And our top 3-tier themes emerged. The first was this concept of uniqueness. They really wanted food and restaurants that were unique to the area. The second was quality, healthy, and local. Those things kind of tended to group together. And the third was kid and family friendly. And those top 3 themes were, like I said, mentioned in all of the group's findings. So if you go on to the next slide. We had some second level themes that emerged as well. The next was parking and safety, which I thought was really interesting that those 2 things tended to go together. When people thought about parking, it wasn't just convenience, it was also safety. And then we had customer service and cleanliness. So basically, you know, they all wanted to be able to have a nice clean establishment and good customer service. So if you can go on to the next slide. So the next question we asked was, okay, now that you've told us what kinds of attributes you want of these establishments, what specific businesses can you think of that meet that criteria? And I know you can't read all these names here, but just wanted you to kind of get a sense that we gathered a bunch of names of restaurants which become an opportunity for us to go recruit them, keeping in mind that we would want to make sure we're recruiting businesses that can produce a unique menu and unique food for our area as part of it. So we don't want, the residents clearly don't want, you know, cookie cutter type food. So if you can go to the next slide. And then we ended by asking, what did they think are downtown Tigard's best assets and qualities? And we asked this question because we wanted to help use this data to help us recruit businesses to come downtown. So the first was walkability across the board. Everybody talked about that. And it's interesting that we just, you know, talk right here. There it says paved sidewalks. And so they love that it's flat and easy to walk around, that there's the Fannel Creek Trail there, etc. And then we have some second tier themes that we just kind of put in there as well. They really like the events that happen downtown. They really like the artwork. And they do like that it's close to Highway 99 and it's convenient and easy to get there. So with that, what I'm going to do now is turn it over to my colleague Adrian, who's going to talk about, well, what did we do next now that we had gathered this data? Adrian?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. So can you hear me okay?
We can, very well.
Okay, thank you. I'm using some new headphones. I want to make sure I'm being heard. So one of the things that we decided to do is, well, let's reach out to some neighbors and let's figure out what they're doing and what their strategy is for their downtown Main Street areas. And so I personally reached out to Lake Oswego and Beaverton, and you're going to find that they fell on 2 ends of a spectrum here. One was a very passive approach and the other a very proactive approach, Lake Oswego being the passive, where they don't have a proactive recruiting strategy in place. They have more of a mindset of, if we build an environment, they will come, the businesses will come. and that's their approach. They do collaborate with their city chamber and current businesses as much as they can. Strict requirements. They do have some fairly strict requirements when it comes to building aesthetics and how they build in the city. And he mentioned to me, he goes, this is a pro and this is a con, because some businesses love that we have some continuity throughout the city and a design, a feel. Other businesses, perhaps some more unique business model, it doesn't fit within their design for their brand, or it's a little too expensive for them, so we lose those smaller businesses. Then the other thing they do is they really focus on retention. So if they find they have a business that's in the city that's thinking of moving out or having some challenges, they really rally around that business to try to figure out how to keep them in the city. So that's their approach for their businesses. Then Beaverton, on the other end of the spectrum, had a very, I would say, aggressively proactive approach. And I was really impressed and fascinated with their process here, because they actually hired professional consultants to come into the city and said, how do we develop this area more? How do we bring more people to our city? And what these professional consultants said, well, focus and start with restaurants. That's it. That's where you're going to focus. And so that's where they've been for the last several years. They hired a recruiting team. This recruiting team their task was to visit any restaurant-based events, any restaurant-based classes, whether it's a chef-based or small business-based, and they were there. And the part of the tasks while they were there was to build a database of these small businesses. Another thing that they did really, really well with, and is very important to the strategy, is meeting with the leasing agents and the building owners so that they can get buy-in from the leasing agents and the owners on the vision to build a restaurant-based focus. And without that buy-in from the leasing agents or the owners, you really can spin your wheels trying to recruit these businesses. But if the leasing agents aren't on board here, then you tend to lose a lot of businesses. So that's a very important piece to this strategy. And in one case, they actually bought a property, and they bought it at market value, and they actually ended up selling below market value. So they took a little bit of a loss on that purchase and sale, but the end goal has always been a restaurant environment, and this property that they bought was actually going to be leased or sold to a manufacturing company, which really wasn't going to fit within their vision. So again, the importance here was that that's where the brewery is now. And so that is an anchor restaurant for them. It's an anchor place that really focuses on bringing our community together, or their community together. So those were the two ends of the spectrums. And I said, I thought that Beaverton and their strategy really fit into what we found with our workshops. And so we've already asked our community, what is it that you're looking for? And again, guys, remember, one of the bullet points here was they're looking for uniqueness. So a chain restaurant, and I'm just going to pick on one, but we already have a chain restaurant area, I believe, around Washington Square Mall, where you have your Chipotles, you have your bigger chain restaurants. What they're really asking for, the community is really asking for here, is local-based restaurants. That's what we're looking for, unique and local. And so I think that's a very important key to remember. Next slide, please. So with that all of that said, we've put together 4 recommendations here for the city, and I'll just go ahead and share them and read them off for you. The City of Tigard Town Center Development Agency should make having an active restaurant community the priority under leadership of new city-funded recruiting teams specifically assigned to scouting, networking, and building a database of restaurants that Tigard should invite to the community. This recruiting team could also network and share the database with surrounding cities to support a wide variety of restaurants. This would require an expansion of funding in Tigard's economic development department to support the position that would carry out this time-intensive work. Number 2, when TCDA funding levels allow, consider opportunities for purchasing appropriate properties in downtown with the goal of reselling the property to a buyer who aligns with Tigard's vision for an active restaurant community. And number 3, with the additional staffing, City TCDA should maintain ongoing relationships with property owners, leasing agents to help them understand the vision for an active downtown restaurant community. The staffer would also instruct tenants and property owners on methods to enhance success and stability and alignment with the EBW vision. The Tigard Downtown Alliance, TDA, should also play an important role in this effort. And then number 4, finally, the City Center Building Improvement Program, which currently offers up to $50,000 in matching grants for eating, drinking establishments, should be more effectively marketed to property owners, real estate broker community, prospective eating and drinking establishment tenants. The City of Beaverton recently increased its maximum grant to $75,000. This could be considered in upcoming TCDA budget. So those are the 4 recommendations that we've put together for you in our work group based on our work this year. And we're really hoping that, I just want to add that we have an opportunity here as a city, both in downtown Tigard and also Tigard Triangle, to really shape the feel of our community based on these recommendations and our findings this year. So that's all I have. Questions?
Thank you, Adrian. Is that, for the 3 of you, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess just at the outset, to make sure that we frame the discussion here, is the staff, these recommendations, it's a little unclear to me whether these incorporate, like, has staff either, like, are these workable things that the staff have already been aware of and are, like, figuring out how to do? Where are we at with that? Or is the request that we deliberate on that tonight? I guess I'm trying to figure out and gauge how, like, are all of these workable and practical that are from the staff perspective?
Well, Mr. Mayor, Sean, did you want to jump in? I'm not sure if Kenny was online or not, and then I'm happy to jump in as well. So.
Yeah, Kenny couldn't make it tonight, but so yeah, these are recommendations from the TCAC, and we think they're workable with an increase in resources. Want to make it very clear that City of Beaverton devotes a lot of resources to their activities. They have a multi-person economic development team. As Adrian mentioned, they hire recruiters. They have full-time staff whose job it is to work on nothing but a grant program. So they devote a lot of resources to that. I think some of these could be accomplished. We are proposing a new position for the agency in next year's budget, but that would be to more manage some of our infrastructure projects that are coming up. We don't know that 2 new positions would be supportable, but if the TCDA board gives us direction, we could reallocate some of the existing ECDev staff's time. So yeah, we like what this work group has done, and supportive of it. It would take a lot of new resources. We are doing some of these things. I mean, like Beaverton bought that building. We bought a property downtown, cleaned it up, and that's being redeveloped into a AVA project that most of you know about. We also, by coincidence, I guess, or maybe just people being attracted by our grant program, which does allow for an increased $50,000 matching grant for restaurants. We do have at least 2 new restaurants who are interested in some vacant properties on the side of Main Street that is undergoing the Main Street Green Street Phase 2. So I think our grant program is attractive. It's not as attractive as maybe Beaverton's, but I think the word's getting out. We could probably a little more effectively market it. We devote more time to getting in front of the real estate community, and I know a few brokers know about our program. Really getting in touch with the property owners of these vacant spaces, encouraging them to maybe hold out for the eating and drinking establishment that'll really create this vision of a real restaurant and eating and drinking destination location.
Without naming specific names, do the 2 that are interested meet the uniqueness, quality, healthy, local, and kids and family friendly standards that are just on the face of him?
They do. One is a wine bar, so I'm not sure about their policy on
kids.
They are unique.
Okay. I mean, I'm just, part of the question is the market organically doing what we would want it to do or not? So that's my only reason for asking that question. When I hear, Mr. Fairley, when I hear you say we can redirect the economic development staff, I then wonder what we wouldn't be doing. So I want to be careful about just proposing that. I think we should have a discussion about what we want to have happen, and then the staff team to figure out the how would be my suggestion. And maybe that might include that, maybe it wouldn't, depending on things. So is there a way to get the slide with the 4 recommendations up and actually make it large enough that we can see it?
Can I just chime in while we do that?
Of course.
Add, that the other thing that we have in play right now is the Opportunity Cafe, which has been a great incubator for the cafe. And also, I know we are working on the food cart pots that are going to go in the Universal Plaza. So those are steps in the right direction for sure, and should be applauded. But there was a meeting earlier this year with the, I believe with Kenny, and I believe the city's stance and approach has been a little bit more on the passive end of if we build the environment, they will come. And really the basis of these recommendations is to move more towards the proactive stance.
Yep. Understood, and I think the whole council would agree with you. Yep. And that's, maybe not been preferred, but it's what we, in the past, where we were and what we could afford, but need to have new conversations at this point. I would also just like to acknowledge Adrian's point about the triangle. If we're going to do this work, whatever we're going to be doing, and this is going to be my only comment before we go, is whatever we're doing, I would strongly encourage us to be thinking about it as a both and not either or.
Right.
All right, Youth Councilor Nog, you got your hand up. Go.
Yes, okay. So I know that Tigard is taking steps on becoming very family friendly and kid friendly, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing, actually. But one of the things that some teenagers and young adults are facing is that Tigard is becoming a little too family friendly. The main problem me and my friends face is after football games, everything is closed. There is nowhere to go. So having
at least nowhere that you're allowed to go.
there.
Okay.
Um,
Point well taken.
every place that we have to go is either in like other cities, so I think that's
Okay.
a lot of business that's being lost. So having like an ice cream shop that stays open later, or a cafe that stays open later is really important, because restaurants can oftentimes get expensive, but having a cafe or an ice cream shop that's like
A gathering place.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's some information that the group can take back in as some feedback that maybe you haven't gotten, is the hours of operation, particularly for certain age groups.
Yeah.
Councillor Goodhouse?
Yes, I'm glad this group came together. I know whenever doing interviews with the committee, is always kind of pushed for them to step up and take action, and thank you for both of you and doing all this research and working with the businesses. And I agree that with being a downtown business owner, it's very passive in the downtown and the Triangle. As far as the work we're doing, it's been a lot of build it, but there's not enough of attraction like Oswego to really bring it there. And I've seen many times where I don't even realize something's opened up that's either available for lease or purchase, and in swoops a real estate agency or something. There's the spot right next to Avo Roastery. We were all there for the groundbreaking, and that went on there, and it became a real estate place, and someone else was interested actually in opening a wine bar. That would have been a perfect place, but without these dedicated person that we don't have right now at the city, we need to have someone that's going to be in contact with these businesses, these the landlords, these building owners, to be able to step in and say, hey, no more of this. I know it's a great, as a landlord, you want a real estate or someone there because they got that guaranteed income, but you want to also say, hey, let's get business in here. We have this money to build out and help out, and you can attract those businesses down there, and that's what's going to make it vibrant, because we have way too many insurance, real estate, and same thing the Triangle. We have a great opportunity for businesses to come in there, but we need to have an active, dedicated person out there. I think we've missed the boat on a lot of the businesses leaving Portland that went elsewhere in cities around us, but we still need someone to be very proactive in doing that, and also increasing the amount. $50,000 doesn't go much to doing a build out for a restaurant. When you start looking at having to do a grease trap, or you have to look at doing certain parts for a restaurant, $50,000 might just pay for the grease trap, and you're not going to get the rest of the build out in there. But we see what happened with Senate and kind of symposium back in the early days. City staff was active and proactive in kind of getting those, but it kind of stopped. And I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Adrian and Carolyn, but I think we have, last time you guys did a check, there's something like 13 or 15 business front or storefronts open or empty on Main Street. And so that's just way too many, where we can easily start looking at what we want with ice cream or other places. And also, if we have a dedicated coordinator, the problem with downtown too is we don't have, as Youth Councilor Nog said, businesses may not be open late, or they're not open on Sunday. You go down to Main Street and 3/4 of the businesses are closed because there's not someone there to really see it and see what needs to make it vibrant down there. And if you get a couple more businesses that are open 7 days a week, 24 hours, that'll make a difference, and the other ones will be open, and then we'll have more of the vibrant. But we're not going to get that with the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday jobs.
Well, we're also not going to get it if we don't have all the people down there, which is where the housing and some of the other things that we do have a direct responsibility for. I think we're making progress, but it continues to be slower. If the businesses aren't going to be able to make that happen financially, it won't be viable if we don't bring the people.
Yeah, I think it's both, but it's a big part of Saturdays are packed down there, and there's people still walking down there on a Sunday. You'd be surprised how many people, with almost everything closed, is how much foot traffic is up and down Main Street, but they don't have anywhere to go. So they walk through, they look at it, but there's nowhere to stop in and eat, drink, or have fun, or for different ages. So that dedicated and the resources would make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think that's to your point. When you have 4 or 5 different barbershop / salons, you're not walking around on a Sunday morning for brunch looking for a salon. You're looking for something to do and to entertain. So that's
All right, other comments or feedback? This side of the council table has been quiet since Youth Councilor Nog. Anything? Councillor Shaw?
Yes, I definitely would support more restaurants, and I hear too, being a parent of teens, that they don't have many places to go, and every time they say they're going to a neighboring community, I just get a little, think we're losing out. So I definitely agree with you, Councillor Nog. I would trust that city manager and staff could determine if it is indeed a position that's needed, or if it could be a consultant. But I do appreciate all the work you've done, and hopefully we can incur both to ensure that both the Tigard Triangle but also the downtown become much more vibrant, including on Sundays. So thank you.
The staff feel, oh, Councillor Newton?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I agree. I think restaurants are really important in the downtown, not only for the people that will ultimately live there, but people like me who live within walking distance. There's a lot of people that don't live downtown, but that would go down a lot and use the restaurants, and having different choices would be great. I also agree family friendly is important, but what about a date night restaurant? What about a place for young adults to go? So I think that's important. There's a lot of families in Tigard, and I think they need options, but I don't think we want to make it just family friendly. That's important. I also appreciate what was brought up about the launch pad and the Opportunity Cafe, because I'm wondering if we could do something, the food carts that we call the launch pad, to encourage those businesses, if they're going to move on to a bricks and mortar space, to encourage them to go either to the Triangle or downtown, and maybe provide some assistance to them.
Or an incentive.
Yeah, an incentive, some assistance, some extra incentive or assistance, because that might encourage some options. I appreciate the unique factor. I think that's important. We don't have big spaces where you would be able to put like a big Al's or something anyway. So the other thing that I would think would be important is on the grant program. I think we should be providing more for restaurants. If that's going to be something we're going to prioritize, I think it would be important to provide more funds for those. Our staff team and the committee looks over those applications pretty closely, so I think that would be a good idea. And I'm supportive of the position. I'm concerned about, we got a memo from the city manager recently about the budget and how they're really going to be looking at the budget. So I unfortunately think these positions all need to be looked at holistically, because we're supposed to be funding a community navigator position. That would probably be a general fund position. We've just got word of another position that was added on strategic initiatives or something, and general funds are used for park maintenance, so I'm a little bit concerned about how this position would be funded. So I think, I won't be in the council the next budget year, but I think looking at a plan for how we roll this out, I think being proactive is important, but I think we need to be mindful of, getting creative because of all the other needs we have for general fund dollars. So I do support it, but my hesitation right now would be, let's fold it into analyzing it when we look at all the other commitments that we've made for general fund
Well, the
dollars.
TCDA this may not have to be funded general
yeah,
fund.
right. So I don't know how that works, but yeah, I think looking at how it could be funded would be important. But I think being more proactive is important. So
I will point out that in clarification a little bit, and maybe just support around the size of our incentives, I believe the $50,000 number has been, and Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's been the amount since 2013. And that's a long time. That's 9 years. Then I don't think it's been increased. And I can tell you that doing any kind of work like that has gotten a lot more expensive in 9 years.
Yeah, I do have a slight correction. So it's been $25,000 for general retail restaurants until 2020, when we increased it to $50,000 for eating and drinking establishments.
Okay. So that change has been made. Has anybody used it since then?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's been possibly helpful. Councillor Goodhouse?
One thing I missed and that was also brought up or compared to other cities is with our downtown, I think what we face is we have a downtown that was built around a boat marine place, mechanics, a lot of things that are not in your normal downtowns. You have something like Lake Oswego where they didn't have to worry about going around that spot. And so I know those are expensive buildings or plots of lands or business to move, but I think also a major strategic move we need to look at is which of those, a car wash, a marina, a print place are huge swaths of land, and looking at what's going to cost for, whether the current budget or do we have to extend again the urban renewal district debt limit to look at buying those out. But those are, I think, a big hurdle when you're looking at a downtown of doing events or something like that. You have something right in the middle where it's hard to do an event with businesses down there that don't really belong in a downtown. You're not going to have a cohesive downtown with half and half.
We could take one of those big warehouses and do like it's on 2nd and Pine in Portland. Do you know that big where you go in and there's all the different restaurants? We could do that.
Interesting idea. As we're brainstorming the how, the council's thinking through details. Okay. No, that's okay. I mean, I think that's actually a creative idea. I think I don't want to push any businesses out of the community, but I think the impact of the noise produced and the vehicle traffic of the car wash is a particular challenge to what our future vision of the downtown is. So I would encourage the future councils and future, the current and future members of our TCAC to think about that, because I really, whether it's during events or whenever, I mean, it's a big challenge. So
can I just chime in and say that I don't disagree with you, Mayor. I had an office there near the car wash, adjacent to the car wash, and I kind of will come to their defense a little bit in that if you're going to have a car wash in your downtown, they run a tight ship. That car wash is so clean. It is so clean in that area, and they do bring some traffic. So while we do figure out a different strategy for that space, they're there. And how can we work with them? Because they do bring in quite a few people. And when people bring their car wash, and I've watched it for years, people bring their car, they're having it washed, and they're looking around to go, can I go get something while I'm waiting here? Can I go do something? What is here while I'm here?
Yeah, so you use that to our advantage and engage people.
Exactly. Let's leverage it. Let's leverage that car wash for as long as we need to until we have a different strategy in place.
Good thinking. Other thoughts or anything further direction-wise? Does staff do you feel like you've got the direction you need tonight? Are there any questions remaining that you're not clear on?
Nope.
I think the 75,000 increase for restaurants and drinking establishments will be proposed in the next fiscal year TCD budget.
Okay.
And we'll check in with the grant committee on that question as well.
Councillor Goodhouse.
I don't know if this falls into it, but one thing I did bring up with Sean and with City Manager Reimer was, I don't think we've incorporated it yet, but the facade improvements for the triangle on 99W are not something where we've started yet, but I know we included that on there to make it more attractive, and that might be something that may attract future businesses where right now you go up and down 99, it's not the most attractive layout for looking at businesses or storefronts, but if that facade improvement can be included, that might also bring more establishments or restaurants where if it looks a little nicer, more trees or better fronts of buildings, rather than looking something from the 60s, it may bring more businesses that may open a bigger restaurant or something there next to them, where they may right now not want to because it's not the most aesthetically pleasing stretch of highway.
Okay. Right. The grant committee is actually going to meet on that very question next week. We currently have a grant program in the Triangle to attract new businesses with facade and tenant improvements. What we're going to be going to the committee about is should existing businesses in their existing buildings also be eligible for those grants.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll move on. We're going to reconvene as the city council now. Favorite name tag swapping. All right. We didn't have any non-agenda items beyond the announcement Councilor Newton made, which was very exciting, about the Lake Oswego Tigard Water Partnership Agreement being approved by the Lake Oswego City Council. And item number 14, administrative reports. City Manager Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening, Mayor, councilors, members of the community, and my teammates. First, I want to start by thanking the work group as well for the recommendations and all the work that they put in and working with our community. As you discussed, we'll be looking at the how to allow those and coming back either during the budget process, or some things may come back prior to the budget process as well. And starting with that, it's already been referenced tonight, our launch pods. And so, as we call them, the Launch Pod Business Accelerator Program, we are down to the final week of interviews, and we soon should be selecting 2 of the operators. And so we will have 2 new businesses coming to us, and I can almost assure they'll be providing unique experiences for our community. So another step in the right direction that was referenced during the last conversation, but it's also good to see that. It's never too early to plan. I think we learned that last time as well. And just some dates for you, which we'll get on your calendar, so don't worry about writing these down. But our Pride Parade celebration and Juneteenth have been scheduled. So the Pride Parade and celebration will be on June 10th, and then Juneteenth will be celebrated on June 17th. So much more to come on that as our team, some here, some throughout the organization, and our partner organizations work on bringing together 2 great events, again, for our community to celebrate. A couple other things. As I think many of you know already, the 4th annual Hanukkah celebration is next Monday, the 19th, at Liberty Park in downtown. I believe it starts at 5, is what I have. That would be two Mondays, though, right? Oh yeah, see, I'm already ahead of myself for a certain reason.
Just to clarify for the community, since you're listening.
Do not show up on next week, the 12th. It's on the 19th. Thank you. Appreciate that. Also, a couple other things. Our emergency service coordinator, Mike Lewick, who all of you know, led a number of teammates on a tabletop exercise recently, looking at the library's use as a warming and cooling center and just how we go through the activation process, et cetera. So thanks to Halsteads, who's here, and many teammates throughout the organization for their efforts in really planning to make sure that we are prepared and serving our community the best possible with the resources that we have. Just a couple other quick things. Also at the library, our story time for babies, toddlers, and families continues through December 15th, and then we'll be pausing it until January 3rd. Sounds like we've had an average of 25 people attend the 21 stories time. So obviously a great demand for that when we have 25 people showing up for each of those. So kudos as always to our library teammates for all of their work. And then, I think we've started a little process here of always bringing forward the great things we hear from our library community. And so the most recent one is from a community member that let us know that after using our library computers and getting help from our library team for a few weeks during a job hunt, he landed a new job. And so really just, as a resource for our community, we do have our next opportunity for some one-on-one job help on Saturday, December 17th as well. So those in need, it looks like it does help. We have a great team that's always helping our community in all different ways. So just those real life stories are important to the great work that happens throughout our organization. And that concludes my remarks this evening.
Thank you, City Manager Reimer. We have no executive session scheduled. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned. Good night, Tigard.